A diplomatic earthquake has just struck the heart of North America, shattering a partnership once celebrated as the world's most stable and integrated. The long-simmering trade tensions between the United States and Canada have finally boiled over into an open economic conflict, a scenario that was previously confined to the realm of historical what-ifs. On August 1, 2025, President Donald Trump unleashed a torrent of punitive tariffs against Canadian imports, a move so aggressive it has prompted Ottawa to declare the end of its historic relationship with Washington. This is not merely a trade dispute, it is a fundamental reordering of the continental landscape, a painful and public divorce between two nations whose destinies have been intertwined for over a century. The world is now watching as the longest undefended border on Earth transforms into a stark economic battle line. The immediate catalyst for this rupture was President Trump's sudden and dramatic escalation of tariffs. He announced a blanket 35% levy on a wide range of Canadian goods, a staggering increase from the 25% previously imposed. This decision, conveyed through a blunt letter posted on his Truth Social platform, was framed as a direct response to what he termed Canadian retaliation against prior U.S. duties. Beyond this blanket tariff, President Trump has unleashed even more punishing levies on specific, economically vital industries. Canadian steel and aluminum, foundational materials for manufacturing and construction, now face a staggering 50% tariff upon entry into the U.S. market. The integrated North American auto industry, a marvel of cross-border supply chain efficiency, has been targeted with a 25% tariff on finished vehicles and parts. The most explosive element of Trump's rationale is his repeated linkage of the trade dispute to the flow of illicit fentanyl into the United States. However, official data directly contradicts this claim. Statistics show that seizures of fentanyl at the U.S.-Canada border accounted for less than 0.1% of all fentanyl intercepted, with the overwhelming majority confiscated at the southern border with Mexico. The response from north of the border was equally swift and historic. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, in a somber but resolute address, declared that the old bilateral relationship built on decades of mutual trust and deepening economic integration was now over. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. It's clear the U.S. is no longer a reliable partner. Prime Minister Carney has outlined a strategy of determined resistance and retaliation. Our response to these latest tariffs is to fight, is to protect, is to build, he declared, adopting a tone of defiant resolve. Canada will impose its own tariffs on American goods, meticulously selected to have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impacts in Canada. He urged Canadians to rally behind their own economy, proclaiming that Canadians will be our own best customer. This strategic pivot is forcing Canada to look elsewhere for its future. Trade agreements like the CETA with Europe and the CPTPP with Pacific nations are no longer just supplementary opportunities, they are now essential lifelines for an economy seeking to de-risk its exposure to American protectionism. The escalating trade war is sending shockwaves through global financial markets. European stocks pulled back sharply, with the Pan-European stock 600 falling 1.3%, the German DAX tumbling 1.7%, and France's CAC 40 declining 2.1%. International investors view the U.S.-Canada relationship as a bedrock of global trade stability. Its sudden fracture is seen as deeply ominous. If the United States is willing to treat its closest ally this way, no trading relationship is safe. European companies are deeply embedded in global supply chains that include both the U.S. and Canada. A disruption of this magnitude threatens their operations, raises their costs, and endangers their sales in the North American market. Both nations are now experiencing significant economic pain. Recent U.S. Labor Department data shows job growth slowed to just 73,000 in July, while American consumers face higher prices as tariffs drive up costs for everything from construction materials to automobiles. The very people the tariffs are meant to help, American workers and consumers, are finding their paychecks stretched thinner and their job security diminished by the escalating trade conflict. The trust that underpinned open borders, shared security intelligence, and integrated economies has been irrevocably broken. The seamless, almost invisible border that was a symbol of friendship and prosperity is now a visible economic fault line. The great North American experiment in deep integration appears to be over. What will replace it is a far more uncertain and contentious arrangement, a continent of neighbors who have become strangers. Both nations now face a future apart, a future defined by the consequences of a breakup that neither side can truly afford, marking a tragic and cautionary chapter in the history of these two great countries.